Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to talk about Stranger Things. It just recently ended. Series 5 aired on New Year's Day and I watched it. I absolutely loved it. It did have flaws and missing plot points, but this video in particular is really referencing the criticism that the Duffer Brothers have been getting for writing the show while it was filming in production. And I am confusion because as someone who grew up on traditional television, that's the norm. It's kind of like a hive mind mentality. TikTok specifically, it's like I always see different people saying the same thing, and they're flattening the writing based on a viral talking point. So I wanted to talk about it. I don't know anything about the Duffer Brothers. I did watch the documentary that they put out right after the series finale. It's like 2 hours long, but while I was watching it, I was like, oh, okay, this is something they love and obsess with, but I can also see that production and the stress that they were under. I'm so glad that they had each other because I cannot imagine doing that on my own. But yeah, let's get into it. As someone that has worked on TV sets, it is absolutely chaotic. Early on in my career, I worked on 2 live TV sets, and I also worked for VH1 and MTV in the production department. One was the Big Gay Sketch Show. This was like in 2006. And then I also interned at SNL, and I was never in the control room during the live. I went like once or twice when they did camera blocking on Thursdays and Fridays. The script supervisor is in there simultaneously working on what the live show is and what it's supposed to be. There were cue changes minutes before or even like during the cold open or whatever that they wanted to make some changes to the script, and it would be the 25th hour, and I would work in the script department. So the script changes as the show goes on is just very standard, and writing and production always intersect. So that's where I just wanted to dive in and talk about that, and also give examples of other iconic shows that have done the same thing. Other writers, outstanding writers who came up with Breaking Bad, Lost. My point is, television has always been iterative. Streaming just changed how the show is released, not how it's made. So even watching the documentary, like, I was like, this is standard, this is normal. And then I'm also seeing people criticize the documentary. I said, y'all never happy. Striking to me how negative the internet can be. Maybe because I grew up with dial tones and stuff. Like, I don't know. People just want to eviscerate anybody for everything. Some comments on Reddit they said something like, I don't understand. The Duffer Brothers said like 10 years ago that they knew the ending. And I was like, that was 10 years ago. And the fact that that specific user, but there were so many people that agreed, it doesn't make sense to me, because the fact that you think from 10 years ago, they had a fully locked script that was not going to they were never going to make any changes despite anything. 10 years ago, the Duffer Brothers had an ending in mind, for sure. And it's just so frustrating. Things don't turn out as planned. Life happens, auditions happen, productions are delayed, budgets are cut, new C-suite people come in and they have input of what they want. The Duffer Brothers might wake up in the middle of the night and say like, oh, actually, I want to change this line to this line. And it's just unfair for a creative to be beholden to something, an idea that they had, versus how they execute it and versus what we saw in final. Whether it was 10 years ago or 2 years ago, that's just internet logic and not industry logic.
We had originally planned it as a 1-season thing, and we were shopping it around, and then Netflix, everyone said no, except...
Wait, so everyone said no to Stranger Things?
Everyone said no, yeah.
So what's that like when you're pitching this and you're like, no, trust me, this is cool. It's set in the 80s.
I mean,
you see it in their eye. You see it in their eyes right away. You're like 2 minutes in the pitch, and it's just dead eyes.
Sometimes even sooner than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Like you walk into the room and just nothing.
They don't care. They don't care.
Just not. They see me in Ross.
No one it was a show. Now it's a success. It's easy to say, but it was a show not for kids, starring kids. It was set in the 80s. No one wanted a period piece.
You also have to think about the performances of the actors and how that really reimagines and reshapes the character that the writer had in mind. I read an article where they were saying that the Duffer Brothers were saying that if Joe Keery wasn't casted as Steve, there was not going to be a Steve. So that's just an example of how you have to adapt to writing and the response of the audience as well. They got Sean Levy to direct it, which is wild to me because I can't imagine being a newbie in this, not a newbie, but you know what I mean? Like this is their first foray into production for a show like this. It's their first ever. I would be terrified. And the fact that Sean Levy was like, I want to come help direct, because the Duffer Brothers were, you know, they have to put their efforts in writing and also directing, and they were like, we have to get guest directors. So for Sean Levy to come in, like the Sean Levy, and direct multiple episodes of the show and produce it and and he probably has inputs in the script. And the show first came out, they said in the documentary they had no clue it would blow up in the way they did. And
is there a particular moment that you, through the years, when you realized, oh wait, this show's kind of a big deal?
Well, no one thought season 1 was going to be a hit. No one did. Netflix didn't. We certainly didn't. Yeah. But I remember when it came out, it was sort of slow. It was like word of mouth. But then I remember there was this giant mural of Barb in Australia, and at that point,
I love Barb.
Like, something is happening. People are actually watching this.
Yeah, and then SNL made fun of us, and that so like once you're getting made fun of on SNL, it's like okay,
yeah,
this is a real thing.
I think the issue with binge culture is it's tempered people's expectations of what they want to see on screen, and they want perfection and finality instead of understanding the mess that got them there. And then the fact that people are saying the writing was like static doesn't make sense to me, because good storytelling is adaptive, and you can see constantly in the documentary they had to change things as production was going. So I'm like, of course they're gonna write the script as production is happening. I don't understand why they wouldn't, because it would be weird if they had a finality in script and then you're shooting over 400 whatever days, and you're like, every day is going to be this. It just doesn't work like that. I'm 41 years old. I grew up on traditional television where there were 22, 23 episodes, aired September to May. We had Christmas episodes, Thanksgiving episodes, Halloween episodes. There were breaks between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and then there were maybe 2 shows a night during prime time. And the prime time spot also was real estate, basically. Like if you got a Thursday 8 p.m. show, your show is doing really good. If you got a Monday show, your show's probably just starting. If you had a show on Friday, you're going to be canceled in next week or maybe next month. You know, wrap it up. Here are shows that I watched myself, and they're famously written by famous directors, and they have a lot of famous actors in them. So many different factors that go into it, so let's get into it. So Breaking Bad, the creator of the show, Vince Gilligan, he has said that he didn't map the ending in advance. Like he didn't know where the story was going. He just knew that he wanted a protagonist that turns into antagonist, which is Walter White, Mr. White, who is played by Bryan Cranston. And then you have Jesse Pinkman, that was played by Aaron Paul. And Aaron Paul's character, Jesse Pinkman, was supposed to be killed off. But Aaron Paul's performance astounded the directors and the creators of the show so much that they kept him in the show. Letting Jesse live was one of the smartest pivots in TV, I have to say, because I don't think the show would have been what it was without the relationship between the 2 actors and their characters. Their relationship really added to the storytelling. Then you have Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Spike's character, who's played by James Marsden, he even said himself, the writers didn't know what to do with me, because Spike, his character, was supposed to be a short-term villain that was eventually killed off. But the Buffy audiences in real time reacted and loved him so much that they expanded his role. So based on fan reaction in real time, that altered where the show predominantly went, because if you watch the show, Spike has a big part in Buffy's life, And, there are some problematic scenes, and they've admitted that, because I can't watch it ever. Even Spike's relationship with Buffy eventually altered the emotional arc of the show. So if that pivot didn't happen, we wouldn't get the Buffy that we have today. And then there's Lost, one of my other favorite shows of all time. I needed to do a top 10. I used to go to a bar when I was at NYU, and the last season of Lost, there was a bar in the city, like Second Avenue, whatever. We called it Lost Bar, where I think the show aired on like Thursdays or Wednesdays or something like that. But every week when the show aired at 8 p.m., we would get to the bar at like 6 p.m. and, kiki, and then people would, the whole bar, the entire bar was quiet watching the show together. I miss that so much, like the collective watching and water cooler talk. So nice to react to the show in real time with people in real life, because the internet discourse now, it's just very overwhelming, and I really miss people's individual opinions about things, so we can have a discourse and a conversation about it versus vilifying the creatives because you didn't like the ending. And J.J. Abrams and Damon Lindelof have admitted that the show was supposed to be fluid, and they didn't know what they were doing as the show was airing. The smoke monster, they didn't know what that was. The hatch, they didn't know what was under there. Even thinking about, because the next one I'm going to talk about is Vampire Diaries, but Ian Somerhalder was on the show like season 1, or I forget where he got killed off, but he was on the show 3 or 4 years before he booked Vampire Diaries. So it's not like he left Lost to go to Vampire Diaries. But anyway, his character was supposed to be schizophrenic. I love the Vampire Diaries. I know I say that all the time. I love that show so much. And I'm reading this book. It's called I Was Feeling Epic by Samantha Highfill. And I have highlighted things. But basically, this entire book is Kevin Williamson and Julie Plec, the creators of the Vampire Diaries. Almost in every chapter, they are like, we didn't have the script ready. Leadership wanted to have the script and we didn't have it. Like the whole entire thing. The Vampire Diaries was created by Kevin Williamson and Julie Plec. Kevin Williamson is famously known for Dawson's Creek, Scream, Teaching Mrs. Tingle, which he had to change the title because of things going on in our country at that time. And Julie Plec was his writing partner. I think Kevin Williamson left the Vampire Diaries after season 3, and then he came back for season 8. And this is the Kevin Williamson talking. So Julie Plec, she says, Haunted was a script that was written so quickly because we were so behind. Lost Girls episode was delivered the day it started prepping, so it's already a disaster of a story break. It's not a great episode. It has great moments, obviously, blah, 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 blah. And then she said it's a mess. Kevin Williamson comes in and he says the script wasn't working. We had to film something, though. We were like, can we just have a couple of days to figure it out? And they actually said no. They would just guilt us so much that we were so scared and thought we were going to get fired at any minute, and we just kept shooting. And Julie says we skip whatever, but she says it's an absolute mess for so many reasons. And in my head, I was like, I am not handing this cut over to the studio until it's good. Sometimes the studio wants it and you have to provide it. There's no extension whatsoever. Pressures from the network. This book is filled with networks executives, like how they casted everybody, where they had it laddered all the way up. You have Klaus Michelson, who was played by Joseph Morgan, who was supposed to be killed off in season 3. But they loved him so much that they expanded his storyline, which turned into a whole other series, The Originals, that aired for 5 seasons. And then that turned into another series, Legacies, which I think aired for 4 seasons. By the way, Joseph Morgan and Elijah, Daniel Gillies, oh my God, these men ate in their roles. I'm mesmerized by their performances every time I watch it. But the truth of the matter is, writing while production is filming, it's adaptive storytelling. And so many of the great shows that we have today were written under so much pressure to get the script done whilst they were filming. Their performances, audience responses, production, network pressure is another aspect of it, which I mentioned before. But while some of my favorite shows, there are a few episodes of Vampire Diaries I just skip. because I'm like, no, not for me. But I understand why the script ended that way, why the show was that way. Again, this has nothing to do with whether you loved the end of Stranger Things or whether you hated it, because opinion is valid. They were just being reactive, and that was the final product. And I appreciate all the work that they put into the show, into writing the show, into giving us 5 seasons. I have my feelings about the ending. I have my feelings about certain episodes. But I understand that the writers are stressed. The production team, the design team, wardrobe, hair, props, like there's so many people involved, and that's just the people on the front line. But anyway, if you got to the end of this, thank you for entertaining my nerdiness when it comes to television. I love it so much. I want to get back into TV production, maybe this time in front of the camera. I did take an acting class a few months ago and I loved it. I just wanted to share that, and that's a long-winded way of me doing that. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.